Hello everybody, welcome to another dinners video. 2025 is definitely the year that everything is kind of coming together. I started kind of a new journey in 2024 and a lot of you have been following along. But if you are new, I spent the month of January taking time to get organized again with my freezer and my pantry and my food organization. And part of the reason was to make it easier for myself to do grocery shopping, meal planning, getting dinner on the table, lunch, breakfast, all of those different things. But the biggest thing too is being able to share food related content with all of you because I know it's very popular. And now I want to take all of the things that I've done to get organized and share with you kind of my process to meal planning and making dinners, finding recipes, using what we have, filling in our freezer. And I think the biggest thing about being organized and having kind of a routine and structure, it saves me a lot of time and money, and I just find it so easy to kind of think about what's for dinner. So I hope that you enjoyed the last dinners video. It was kind of over the weekend and it was more than just dinners. It was baking and trying to recreate a recipe that my mom made when I was a child, and I thought I'd just kind of share a little bit of the process with all of you. So today is Tuesday. We had leftovers last night, and usually Tuesday I'm thinking pasta or something like Mexican, like tacos. I know it's always Taco Tuesday. And then my game plan for Mondays was to have either casserole or soup. But because we had leftovers last night, we're gonna have a soup tonight. And I've been craving Hamburger soup. And I've made it a couple of times over the years, but as I said before, I would find a recipe, I would print it out, and then I would just put it in the recycling or whatever. And now I'm trying to perfect that. My husband actually said it last night. He goes, just find a recipe and make it over and over. And I said, that's what I'm trying to do. So I showed him the cookbook and everything. So anyways, I found a recipe that I'm gonna try. I just quickly went to my pantry, took out the ingredients, and I'll share with you what it looks like. And then I'm not gonna make it until after I pick my son up. So it looks like a really quick, easy soup with using staples that I already have. I went to Google. I looked at some websites that I normally go to, but this one came up, Spend with Pennies. It's a really great website. I find it just is kind of basic ingredients. If you need a recipe, it's pretty much kind of what you would have in your pantry. So I will link it down below, but I really like it. I went to my pantry, beef broth, diced tomatoes, a can of tomato soup. Now, if I didn't have a can of tomato soup, I'd probably use tomato sauce, or even just maybe a cup of water and then a little bit of tomato paste just to kind of enhance the flavor. But I think this will give it a little bit of creaminess. I don't love tomato soup, but I'm craving Hamburger soup. And then yesterday I made some fresh bread. So it's a very chilly February day. There's no snow, but the sun is shining. But, soup weather is only going to be here for a little bit longer, and I want to take advantage of it. So I have a really, really busy day today. I don't want to be in the kitchen a lot. So I am going to make this. So I'll be back whenever we start making it. And I'm not using frozen vegetables. I'm going to use fresh vegetables that I have, maybe with some peas. So I'll explain the whole process with all of you and then think about how can I save this soup and use it for another night. So I'll be back to share with you how to make a very easy Hamburger soup. My cast iron enamel covered Dutch oven. I have a pound of ground beef with some onion and garlic. I'm just going to brown it up. I've talked about it in the past, and I have decided to buy different kinds of meat grass-fed because I just haven't been happy with the quality from the grocery store. So I spend a little bit more on that. And I bought it 2 weeks ago. I bought some lean and extra lean. And because I'm making a big soup, I'm going to use the lean because it's a little bit cheaper. And then the extra lean I would use for burgers or tacos or a meatloaf, something that is more focused on the meat. So I'm just taking celery and carrots. I'm trying to have certain staples in my refrigerator, and I think celery and carrots are going to be that because they're easy to get. You can use them all year round. They're pretty affordable and they last a little bit longer. And especially in the colder months, whether you're making pasta or soups or a sheet pan dinner, they're just something that you can pretty much use for so many different dishes. So back to the ground beef, just seasoning it a little bit with salt and pepper. And I'm really just trying to do this as quickly as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the celery and the carrots with the ground beef and the seasonings just to speed it up a little bit. And then I have the recipe, so I'm looking at what to use. Italian seasoning instead of bay leaf. I'm going to use basil. And I'm also trying to make this something that our son will eat. Just with his food sensory and texture issues, I like to have kind of familiar flavors. So I'm kind of like using a little bit of what I would use in spaghetti sauce. And then it also called for Worcestershire sauce. Now I think it called for 3.5 cups of beef broth, but I put in the whole carton. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add in the can of diced tomatoes. If you don't have diced tomatoes, you could use crushed tomatoes. It doesn't have to be exact when it comes to cooking. Now when it comes to baking, yes, but I had the can of tomato soup, but if I didn't, like I said, I would put in tomato paste, maybe add a little bit of water. I think if I did this again, I would do the tomato paste and not use the tomato soup at all. So it's just, figuring out what do I have in my pantry that I can make dinner with and how can I, fix it a little bit better. So I'm adding in the sweet potato because it did call for potato, but I don't know. I just didn't want to add in potato because we were going to have bread with it, but I had bought the sweet potato and my meal plan didn't go the way I thought. So I'm just turning it down, putting in the lid on and letting it simmer for 20 minutes. And that's all I'm doing. So there it is after the 20 minutes. I'm pretty happy with it. The vegetables are all cooked. So I just want to taste the broth just to see if it needs a little bit of something. I do find it's not as thick as what I would like. So I do have a tube of tomato paste. So I'm just going to put a little squirt in here. And then I'm going to let it continue to boil for a little bit longer just to let a little bit more of the water maybe evaporate now that the vegetables are all cooked. And that's really all that I'm going to do with the soup is just add a little bit of frozen peas, a little bit more pepper, a little bit more spices. And I honestly think it's good to go. So I'm going to let that sit for a little bit and then I'm going to start getting the plates ready. If you are new to my channel, I love white plates. I like to serve the food on them. I find that they just really let the food kind of stand out. So these ones I thrifted and I use them all the time for like kind of soup and sandwiches. So I just took some bread. I only buttered my husband's because my son and I will just kind of dip it. And then I wasn't sure what size of bowls to use because sometimes like you get this bowl and it's a little bit more than what you actually need. So it's 5:24. I try and have dinner for 5:30. There's the soup. It's looking pretty good. I got the bread and everything ready. I got cheese out to grate and put that all on there. I have the lid. Everything is cleaned up. I cleaned that up as it kind of simmered for the 20 minutes and then I have everything ready to go. So I'm just going to plate it up and here's dinner. I put a little bit of cheese on top with some pepper. For our son, I put a little bit of the Kraft Parmesan because that's usually what I use in my spaghetti sauce. He ate it all and he loved it. The soup was really good. My husband thought it was a little bit brothy and that's okay because I have a plan for it. And that's all that I have left to clean up. And then this is the soup that's left. So we're going to enjoy dinner. We have things going on in the evening and I don't want to drag this out. So here it is. It's 5:52. A little bit of soup on the stovetop. Everything's not getting wiped down every night. I'll do it in the morning. So I'm going to freeze this. And I think what I'm going to do is when I go to use it again, I can add in macaroni to make it a little bit thicker. That's my husband's lunch. And then this container is going to be my lunch. And then our son's dinner for tomorrow night. So I push that all to the side. And then somebody asked me, how do I keep my Dutch oven so clean? I spray Dawn Power Wash on it. And then I'm just going to run hot water, let it fill up, put the lid on, and I'll deal with it in the morning. I don't want to deal with it tonight. And then in the morning, it just washes so easily. I don't have to do a lot of scraping, and there it is. So I'm just going to let it sit. I'm going to put everything in the fridge and all of that, and I'll meet you back in my kitchen in the morning. We are early birds. I usually like to be up by 6 during the week. So my husband's lunch is made. I brought in napkins. He needed coffee for work, so I got that all sorted. So we have a muffin left. There's some bread, and then I'm just cleaning the Dutch oven. So I just have to get my scrub daddy out just to scrape a little bit at the bottom, and here it is. Honestly, I just wiped it with like my J cloth or whatever, and then my scrub buddy, it's good to go. So it's all washed and dried. I'm gonna put it back in the hutch, and then I also like just broke some stuff down with the coffee, put all of the holiday blend in, the hot chocolate. I have one package of sugar cubes left, so I know I need to get some more. I have the ramen here, so I should be making another pot of that before we get to the colder month. Get over the colder months. I have broth. The baking stuff is in here. I'm working on the protein bars. I'm not buying anymore. And then the snacks, we're really not eating a lot of this anymore. So just kind of seeing what we have. Hunter is working the early shift. He's always with me. And here's the kitchen. So I'm actually going to freeze that today. I have a salad kit still. We're just going to go over like what produce I had bought, what my plan was, how it didn't work out. I have some cucumbers. I have a package of blueberries. So I'm just kind of like moving everything around, seeing what I have. And then I have an extra orange juice in the garage, so I can bring that in now. I have a lot of cream cheese. So I'm just going to check the dates with that. And then I want to go through all of this produce today to make sure nothing goes to waste. I have a bag of broccoli. So I'm going to make a sheet pan dinner tonight. So I brought in the sausages. I brought in some toilet paper to take to the upstairs bathroom. And then while I was drinking my coffee and listening to the news this morning, I went through all of the Flip app, the flyers that were coming on, and wrote down what I thought would interest me for the sales. So here it is. It's 7:16 in the morning. I'm pretty much ready to go for the day with the kitchen. I don't need to think about anything until it is time for lunch. So I'll meet you back in my kitchen then. My kitchen was clean. I knew what I was going to make for dinner, and I had to tweak my meal plan a little bit. So these sweet potatoes, I originally had planned on using them Saturday night to make sweet potato fries. I ended up using just the frozen ones because it was quick and easy. I bought a pork roast that I didn't really plan on, but it was on sale, and that ended up being dinner Sunday and Monday nights. And then Tuesday, I made the soup. So I have broccoli left because that was supposed to be something I was going to make Monday night. So I'm just going to take the sweet potato and the broccoli and make a sheet pan dinner because I had that sausage. So the oven is preheating to 450 degrees. I quickly went to Google and I found a roasted sweet potato, sausage, and broccoli sheet pan dinner. I will link it down below. I've never made it before. And I'm really excited about it because it's a really simple, easy dinner using the produce that was kind of left over from the dinners that didn't go as planned. And that's why I always say there's a little bit of wiggle room in your schedule because now it's Wednesday night. Andrew's going to have the leftover soup, and then we're going to have the sheet pan dinner. There's the supervisor, so I'm just sprinkling a little bit of olive oil, and then I'm using this spice from Costco, but the recipe has like balsamic vinegar, garlic powder, but I'm using the recipe more for the timing of everything. So I'm just going to quickly toss the sweet potatoes with the seasoning and olive oil and then put them on the sheet pan just with some parchment paper. Then all I have to do is put it into the oven. Easy peasy, not a lot to do with it. So this is going to go into the oven, and it just says you roast the sweet potatoes for 15 minutes. The sweet potatoes are in the oven, and now I'm going to try and use these 15 minutes wisely. So I have these turkey sausages that I got from Costco. You could use any kind of sausage. You could even use leftover meat, and if you had it, like if you had some chicken or if you had like roast beef or something, you could just like prep it all up and then put it in the oven just to kind of like heat through because these sausages are fully cooked. But I'm just going to be heating them up. So I have the broccoli chopped and ready to go too. And then I'm like, okay, I got 15 minutes. I'm going to take these crescent rolls from Christmas and try and make garlic bread with them. So it takes a little bit of time to unpop them and roll them out, but this is all within 15 minutes of while the sweet potatoes are in the oven. So I think that's one of the things that as I'm organized, I just find it so much easier to stay on top of everything because I'm not feeling overwhelmed. I'm like, how much can I get accomplished? Because I don't want to spend all night in the kitchen cleaning up. I want to make sure that I have leftovers. I had the soup for lunch. There's enough left for our son to have for dinner because there's no way he would like this. And I just picked my battles on the nights that I want to try him with something new, like the previous night with the Hamburger soup. He loved it. And now I'm just going to go ahead and get my dishwasher loaded. And then hopefully I can, you know, add the sausage whenever the 15 minutes is up. So I'm really just trying to be productive, and I want to sit down and eat a nice, delicious dinner without a great big mess waiting for me. So once again, I'm just looking over the times and seeing, you know, what I need to do next. So I looked at the time that was left, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and prep the broccoli. Just a little bit of olive oil, the same seasoning that I was going to use, and then here's the 15 minutes. Out comes the sweet potatoes. I'm just going to toss them around a bit and then just add in the sausage. So according to the recipe, you just add the sausages in and then you cook them for 10 minutes. So for the 10 minutes, I'm going to finish putting the dishes into the dishwasher and then finish up the garlic bread. So I had a little bit of butter. I put it on like the warmer on my stovetop to soften it up a little bit. Took some cheese out of the fridge and then just kind of shredded it. So I'm just going to try and push down the butter, mix it all up, and then I'm just going to put some garlic powder in here and then spread it on top of the crescent rolls and then just sprinkle some cheese, put a little bit of parsley on top, and then put it into the oven. So the dishes are already, I think, in here, and that's really what it is. I'm just trying to use my time as much as I can. And this recipe is great because you do it in stages. So I was like, okay, like I don't need to have the sausages cooked. I don't need to have the broccoli prepped. Like let's get the sweet potato in here and then use the rest of that time wisely to stay on top of everything. Hunter is supervising and Linus is laying in the bed, just kind of keeping an eye on anything to see if he can help out in the kitchen. So anyways, 10 minutes. Check in the recipe again. So it says like to kind of put like the broccoli in the middle or whatever. So I'm just stirring this all up and then I'm putting the broccoli in here. And then I actually put the oven down to 400 because I didn't want to toast the broccoli too much. I like a little bit of crisp in my broccoli. So I'm going to put the broccoli back in and it says to do that for 15 minutes. And then that's on the top rack. So then I'm going to put the garlic bread on the lower rack and then kind of switch it around and try and have it all come out together at the same time. So we have these dips that we got from Costco. I like the lime one. Steve likes the chipotle, so I'll use these to put them on here. So I took it out. I like the way the broccoli is. It's still nice and green. So I moved the garlic bread up to the top. And then this is what it looks like. It smells so good. So I'm going to plate everything up, cut up the garlic bread. So this is what's left. There's enough for my husband and I. I like to use leftovers for lunch because that way I don't have to buy special stuff. So here is the dinner with the little aioli sauce or whatever. This was so good. So easy. You saw how I was able to keep everything up. And then I wanted a little something sweet afterwards. And I went out to the freezer and got some cranberry bliss bars. So there you go. A couple of easy dinners, cleaning up some things from the fridge and freezer, and just trying to stay on top of everything. It all takes time, but it really starts with having some organization in your kitchen.